Several years ago, I owned a marketing agency. And I remember I was a small company, but I remember talking to someone who had a big agency. And one of the things that I discovered in my little business is you had to build a really powerful culture. You had to care about the people in the company. You had to do things to build loyalty with your staff. At the end of the day, I was a small company and I didn't have the ability to compensate a lot of the staff in the way that some of these big marketing agencies were able to. So I had to figure out ways to actually make the work meaningful, to care more about people that were in the business, to make it more communal and that it wasn't just about getting paid. There were reasons and a commitment to stay that was beyond just the compensation. And so one of the things I asked him, I said, you don't have some of these things that we have that make that work meaningful, that create that type of loyalty. So how do you get good people to stay in your company? How do you solve that problem? His answer was, we just pay them a lot of money. If you have a pretty decent company, then that can work. You can pay these people well and they'll stick around. If you pay them well and you treat them like trash, even that won't be enough. I had Liz McVicker on the podcast, and I'm going to share a clip with you from her. She was working somewhere, and this other company wanted to hire, and she just threw out a number that she thought was absurd. She just doubled the amount. She said, well, if you want to hire me, it's this much. She didn't think they would actually take it up, but they agreed. They paid her the double, which is more money than she'd ever made in her life. It was an insane amount, and she took the job. And as you'll see in this clip, did not last.
If I'm being completely transparent, Jason, when that job offer landed in my lap, I sort of put some of my due diligence aside because the salary was so amazing.
Yeah.
And I thought, to get paid that much money, I can put up with anything.
Yeah.
And so I think, first of all, if you're looking to make a switch, like really evaluating what are your priorities? Like, is work-life balance important? I mean, I would have said it was important before making the switch, but I should have asked more questions. And
Yeah.
then if you're already in that situation, ironically, while at that job, I coached 3 coworkers out of it and into new
Oh,
positions.
wow.
So, because I could see how it was affecting me, how it was affecting my team. And I mean, some people love that. Some people are wired to work like that, but that just doesn't line up with my family values, my faith values. And thankfully, I got out in 4 months before just completely wrecking my body and my
Yeah.
relationships.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you just have to take the leap and
Yeah.
trust that, if you're not living in a way that's congruent with who you are, that there's something better
Yeah.
through a different door.
So the salary thing, was it more of an appealing thing, like, oh wow, this is amazing, or was it like you were in a life situation where you kind of needed the money? Like which of the two was it?
Yeah. So my previous job, I was making really, really good money. And when this job, I mean, they came after me, and I had no intentions of leaving my current job. So when they said, "Hey, what are your salary requirements?" I just doubled my salary.
Yeah.
And they called me the next day and said, "Okay, we'll do that." And I was like,
Wow. So it's
wait a
almost
minute.
like you put up a roadblock, but they ended up accepting
And they
it.
leaped over it. Yeah. And I was
Yeah.
like, wow, they're willing to pay me that. I mean, I'd never made that much money in my life. And, it was already something I loved to do, but there were definitely some traps that I was unaware of.
So while money may sound like a great trade-off, there is a point where no amount of money is going to make people stay. It's going to make it worthwhile. And so I want to encourage you to build the type of company, to be intentional in your business, to build the type of business that allows you to have a community and a team that has a loyalty to you and to your business and to the mission that the business is doing. Even though you can't pay the top salaries, you can at least pay a good amount and then offer your staff something that's beyond that. Now, a lot of people that work in ministries or nonprofits, this is what's going on. They're building an organization that's on a mission, and people want to be a part of that mission more than they want the amount of money that they could get in other places. Sometimes people go into the government. They go into the government because they believe in what they're trying to do in that maybe department or that area of the government, when they could go into the private sector and make tons and tons more money. Why is that? What if you could capture that idea? What if you could capture that essence in your business so that you could build that type of loyalty with your staff? Now, before we talk more about details, I want to give you another story. We had a client years ago And we were working with them and we were learning about our own core values in our business. And then we were helping other companies develop their core values as part of their brand and communicating that brand in their marketing. So we were a marketing agency. And we believe that marketing is a reflection of who you are. And so until you have clarity on your values and vision, you can't market well because you can't market something you don't have clarity on. So we would help them figure out those things. And so we had this one company where it became very apparent that there was a disconnect or a contradiction between their stated values and the way they were operating. And the way they were operating this department was rather chaotically and in a toxic way. So we asked them about this, and they didn't have any qualms about telling us, but the thing that they said was, we understand that the way we run things in that department burns that department leader out. It burns them out and they become less effective at what they're doing. And after 3 or 4 years, they will no longer be effective at their job. But what we also understand is that we can fire them and we will find someone else to do that same job. We don't have to change the system because we can just change the person whenever the person stops becoming effective. And so the way that they were operating was essentially that people were just a vehicle for their business to accomplish its goals, and they could operate this department in a negative way, and it didn't matter that they burned people out and spit them out because there would always be another person at the door ready to take the job. This is an unhealthy thing, and if you do this long enough, across enough areas, you will build a reputation that will attract the wrong types of people and repel the right type of people. So if you want to build a business that lasts, if you want to build a business that's effective, you need to figure out how to build a business that doesn't burn your people out, that is sustainable for the individuals and the collective, so that the institution of your business continues to have the strong character to operate in the ups and downs of business and continue to succeed throughout the journey. But it also requires that you see your business as a vehicle to make the lives of your employees better, make the lives of your clients better. It's a vehicle to make things better, to make a difference. And if you're burning your people out to help somebody else out, like, it's canceling it out. Restructure your business so you're empowering your staff and your clients. Everyone that's involved gets a win-win. It's not a win-lose where someone loses and someone gains. It's a win-win where everyone's participating. That's what sustainability is really about. It's about doing something where it allows you to continue doing it indefinitely. If it's not sustainable, it'll eventually come to an end. It'll eventually die. Something will break at a severe level. And that's an indication that something was wrong, that something needed to change, and you didn't listen to that to make that change. Now, I want to talk about some specifics, but before I do, I want to talk about this video sponsor. If you're a hospice agency or in the home health industry, I want to tell you about Dominion Revenue Solutions. Dominion Revenue Solutions was founded by my friend Blessing Jonas. Blessing started Dominion Revenue Solutions to help those in home health and hospice agencies that were facing this type of burnout that I'm talking about. They wanted to focus on the mission. They wanted to do meaningful work, but at the end of the day, they had to get paid for that work, and they weren't getting compensated. They were missing out on invoices. Insurance companies and Medicaid and the government, they weren't giving them what they were owed, and these home health and hospice agencies were struggling. They are struggling. You may be struggling. And that's the problem that Blessing saw, something she wanted to solve with Dominion Revenue Solutions. She wanted to build a company that partnered with these agencies to help them recover the income that they're owed, to catch up, to improve their cash flow, so they weren't stressed, pulling out their hair and biting their nails. She wanted to help them have peace of mind. And she wanted to help them build a system in their agency that prevented all these problems to begin with, so that they could focus on the mission of their work, helping their patients and their staff do well. And so if that's something you're interested in, check out their website. That's dominionrevenue.com. You can reach out to Blessing. She'd be happy to talk to you about your home health or hospice agency and how she can help you solve those invoice problems, those cash flow problems, those revenue issues, so that you can focus on your patient, not have to worry about all the stress that comes from the business side of the financial piece of your agency. At the end of this video, I'll include a clip from Dominion Revenue Solutions that dives more into who they are, what they do, and how they can help your agency. Let's talk about how you can attract the right employees, how you can cultivate loyalty, and how you can empower them to do the best work possible. So I want to talk about hiring. So the first thing you want to do is you want to bring the right people onto the bus. As Jim Collins says, you want to get the right people on the bus, and you want to get them into the right place on the bus, in the right seat in the bus. And so finding the right people, attracting the right people, the way that you do this is you have clarity on your vision and your values, and you broadcast those. You put them out there. You communicate those. You attract people that want that as well. You don't just want people that can do the skill set that you're looking for. You want people that can do the skill set, are efficient and experienced, but also share your vision and values. Because if someone understands your vision and values, they understand you. They understand the direction of the business. And it makes it more intuitive for them to move things forward in their particular area of authority and dominion in your business. So I had a client once where the owner, the co-founder of the business, like me and her just saw the world in a lot of similar ways. And I could just predict what she wanted and where she wanted to go without even asking her. And it just made our engagement so much more powerful because I could anticipate where she was going and I would just move that direction. That was just something that just made the marketing more effective, more powerful, and it required less of her time because I didn't have to go to her with all of these questions. I could just intuitively know what those things were and move towards them. And so that's the type of thing that you want when you're bringing people and attracting people to your business. So as you're asking questions, you could be asking questions to elicit what is their vision and values and figuring out what's important to them, what's not important to them, and do those align with you and your business? And are you compatible in that way? I've had situations where I've hired people and they were a good fit in what they used to do, but they weren't a good fit in what I was bringing them into. The company was too different. The values were too different. And so while they were very successful over here in this company, in my business, they just floundered. And so you want to help get this clarity for them and for you so that you know if you're a good fit because you want it to be successful. You want this to work. You don't want to hire someone and then have to fire them. You don't want to go work for a company and then have to quit. You want to make sure that this is as much as you can on the front end. Make sure this is a good fit. Just like dating before you get married. You want to go through that courting process to get to know them. But you can go through that process in a healthy and good way or in an unhealthy and problematic way. One is going to help you get visibility into what that partnership looks like after, and the other is just going to blind you to the red flags that are possibly there the whole time that you might be ignoring. Once you figure out what their vision and values are, you want to communicate what your visions and values are, and you look for that compatibility and you bring those into it. Practically speaking, I would recommend you do personality testing. I like the Big Five because it's evidence-based, which is similar to Myers-Briggs. The difference between Myers-Briggs and the Big Five, you have neuroticism or negative emotionality, where you don't have that in Myers-Briggs. You have 4 of the 5, but you don't have the 5th. I would recommend that you do the Big Five. There's some free ones out there that you can use. Have the people that you're interviewing either at the last stage, the final candidates, or you could even do this at the front end if it's a free test. Have them do the Big Five personality test and then see what their personality is, and then actually look at the position and the responsibilities and see if their personality is actually inclined and just going to be naturally good for that person. If you need someone to be, highly responsible and detail oriented, but they don't have a strong sense of responsibility in their personality, it's going to be a lot harder for them. It's not going to be as natural for them to do that. They might be a better fit in a different position. Personality testing is a great way. There are other tests out there that you can explore as well, but I think at least the Big Five would be a good starting point. You can also just track their behavior and how they interact. Are they following up? Are they communicating? Are you having to kind of lead the way? Are they leading? Figure out what it's like to engage with them in that process. Look at those little details. If they make a mistake, how do they respond to the mistake? It's not so much that we all make mistakes, but does someone blame? Do they come up with excuses? Do they take responsibility? You're looking for those mistakes so that you can see how they respond, what their character is in those types of situations. So number 1 for building a powerful and strong cultural team is attracting the right people, filtering those people so that they're in alignment with your business. And that is the big first step. The second piece of the puzzle is about culture, developing this culture among your team. So tip number 2 is what I call pull leadership versus push leadership. Sometimes there is a place to push, but pull is really what we're looking for. I had this friend who did this demonstration for me. So he grabbed my hand and he just started pushing. And out of just reaction, I pushed back. So pushing led to me pushing back. It was just this intuitive reaction. That's how pushing leadership can be. If you just push someone, do this, do that, you're going to get resistance. He did a second demonstration. He put out his hand and I grabbed it and then he just started walking away. He pulled me. And I just naturally I got up and started following him. No resistance, right? So if you move towards a vision, you move towards a value, and you invite people to come with you, that pull is going to be more likely to bring people along. It's going to be more likely for people to follow you. And you're going to have less resistance. Now, you might still have some resistance with certain people or certain situations, but if you have that vision, you cast the vision, you communicate the vision, you move towards it, and then you invite them in, you're going to be much more effective. My advice for you is to get clear on that vision, to be clear on communicating that vision, be clear on inviting guiding people to that vision. Act decisively, don't whiffle waffle. If you don't know, use a discovery process and collaborate with everyone, but be decisive. Come up with a decision. Nobody likes to follow a leader that's like this one day and like that another day. They want someone that is going somewhere and they want to go with it. The next tip I want to give you is focus on what your staff member wants and also on empowering them and making them better. If they become a better person, if they have better character, if they become more effective, they not only have a better life for themselves, but they become more effective for your business. They can do more, they have more capacity, they can accomplish more, they deal with issues better, they respond to problems more responsibly. If you help them develop, if you invest in them as a person, they'll invest in your business and helping to make it better. I had a friend who worked with someone who was just going above and beyond for them, and this person didn't appreciate them going above and beyond. This owner had an entitlement mentality. Like he deserved their loyalty and them working extra, even though he wasn't compensating more for all that extra effort and time beyond. And so this person is busting their butt and he wasn't even appreciated, he wasn't even being compensated. So why is he doing? And so he stopped. And if you're in that situation, I'd encourage you to stop. Like draw your boundary and don't go beyond it. Go beyond for those that appreciate it, for those that are willing to reward you for it. And if you build a business that does that, that even if you don't have the money to financially reward someone, if you can at least verbally acknowledge them, thank you. That was so awesome. I really appreciate that you went above and beyond. I'm glad that you did that. Say those words. They can mean all kinds of powerful and important and encouraging things to your employee. Don't forget that. Appreciation can go a long way. And if you care about your employees as people and what they care about, they're going to be loyal to you. They're going to stick around. They're going to go above and beyond. Figure out who they are as a person. Where do they want to go in their life? What do they want to learn? What do they want to be? What kind of money do they want to make? Figure out how can your business be a vehicle for them to succeed? How can it help them move towards their life's mission? They're not going to work for you forever. So let the work they do for you while they do it be as best as possible, but also be a vehicle to help them become that better version of them. They'll remember you, they'll remember the business. And while they're working for you, they're going to give you everything. I had someone who did an internship with me when I had my marketing company. His goal was ultimately, I think it was become an SEO person. When he first started his internship, this is what he wanted to do. And I said, let's design this internship so that it helps you learn all the things you need to learn so you can become that type of skill set. So we did that, and he was able to provide value to our business because I taught him these things, and then he was able to do them for our clients. But it also helped him accomplish his goal. It was a win-win to become that type of person that could do these type of skills so that he can then move on to the next thing, which he did. I see this as a situation where people come in and out of our business, and we have an opportunity for the business to be a vehicle, not just for us as the business owner, but for them as an employee to help them move towards their life goals and where they're going. And the thing is if you don't do this, they'll leave. They'll find somewhere else to work. They'll find a place that does appreciate them, that does compensate them, that does give them those words of acknowledgement, that does have the values they align with. But at the fundamental level, that's usually what it is. It's a disconnect of vision and values. You're going one direction within a certain set of guidelines, and they want to go a different direction within a different set of guidelines. You're going in different directions. And for a time, you might be able to intersect. But if you are intentional about this from the beginning, especially if you're working with people that are in the sales and business development, you've got to figure this out. Because if you don't, they'll quickly move on. They won't stick around. But if you get this figured out, if you can align your objectives, make it a win-win for you and them, you care about them, you encourage them, you appreciate them, they'll give you the best work they've ever done. When people realize it's not just about you being selfish as the business owner, that it's about the mission and that you're willing to give up and sacrifice for your team, for your client, they're going to be willing to do the same. They're going to follow your example. So if you're selfish, they're going to be selfish. If you're selfless, they're going to be selfless. So the life you live, the way you lead, how you model that is going to get what you get. So I encourage you to think about how you lead, how you encourage, how you hire, how you develop that culture, how you communicate, and then how invested you are in your staff. And if you can figure these pieces out, you can build a culture where people will want to work for you. People will want to stay working for you. And there's no ill will between you. You want them to feel that when they leave, that they wish they could stay. And that's the type of business that I want. If you're in the home health or hospice industry, if you have an agency, I'm going to leave you with this final video from this video's sponsor, Dominion Revenue Solution. They'll help you find lost money. They'll help you build strong cash flow, and they'll help you build a system proactive, so you don't lose money. You get all the money you should be getting. You can focus on your mission, which is taking care of your patients, which now you know involves taking care of your employees that take care of those patients. Because you want people that are doing that type of work in your agency invested, not just in the moment. You want them invested. You want them to take care of these patients because they matter. These people matter. And you want to build a company and a culture of staff that really takes that serious and does the best work that they can. Dominion Revenue Solution help you do that. So stick around if you want to watch that. I'm Jason Scott Montoya, and I'll see you on the next video.
You care about your patients. You don't want to waste countless hours collecting overdue Medicare, Medicaid, and commercial insurance claims. We care about you. That's why we want to enable your patient care by eliminating the billing challenges your agency faces. With decades in the medical billing industry, we discovered a better way for home health and hospice agencies to get the money they deserve. Leaving money on the table is not an option for your organization. This frustration of wanting to grow your agency while being hamstrung by overdue invoices is the dynamic that birthed Dominion Revenue Solutions. We eliminate your billing problems so you're free to focus on what matters most, your patients. We're more than a medical billing company. We're a revenue transformation partner, bringing clarity and peace of mind. DRS is not just about helping you get the money you're owed, but preventing the problems that cause the loss of money in the first place. Outsource your billing with Dominion Revenue Cycle Management, Dominion RCM. Tap into Dominion Cash Flow for your revenue recovery projects. Or learn about accelerating your agency growth with Dominion Expansion. To start achieving financial freedom through 99% collection rates in 90 days, contact Dominion Revenue Solutions today. Find lost money, improve cash flow, and maximize revenue with Dominion Revenue Solutions.